the WinRed website shut down, busted, just an hour after the verdict came in. Why was it busted? Because so many people were overloading the website with donations. So one of the big questions after yesterday's verdict is, how will the voters react? Well, if this is any indication, they're going to be supporting Donald Trump and rallying around him. Take a look. This is a screenshot of the WinRed website shut down, busted, just an hour after the verdict came in. Why was it busted? Because so many people were overloading the website with donations. In fact, this morning, the Trump campaign announced that they shattered their records after the verdict came in. $34.8 million. Even more importantly, Elaine Parker, 30% of those donations were from first-time donors. Is this a boomerang that the Biden administration will be sorry they ever threw?
Well, it seems to be a lesson that they just can't learn, because he continues. Every time they hurt him in the courts, he continues to do well. I mean, I think it just shows that Americans love to root for the little guy. And as we were talking about, the inflation is still there. All of those economic woes for the American people are still there. And really, the only message that the Biden administration has is they've got three top messages. It could be worse, abortion, and climate change. And those three things don't help people buy gas or buy groceries. And that's what people are going to feel. And that's what's going to be on the ballot in November, 100%, as far as I'm concerned, because I talk to small business owners every day, and that's what they're telling me. There's a credit crunch, there's inflation, there's labor issues, there's government red tape coming like crazy. I mean, under the Biden administration, there's been to date $1.6 trillion in new regulations, and 1.2 trillion of them have occurred this year alone. That's a disproportionate impact on our small business owners. It hurts them when they're hurting the most right now. And the Biden administration just continues to come at them with mandate after mandate after mandate.
If I could follow up on that with you, Elaine, because I think that this is an incredibly critical component here, because those small business owners that you're just talking about, what they're seeing telegraphed by the administration and by the Biden campaign is getting Trump is more important than fixing the economy. Getting Trump and stopping Trump is more important than creating a better climate so that people can start hiring again and those small businesses won't get squeezed. In fact, this week we had Karine Jean-Pierre talk about inflation by saying, yeah, we're going to fix inflation. Biden's been on the phone with major companies telling them to bring prices down. Well, small business owners know that they're not inflating prices just because they think it's fun or that they can profit off of it. They're doing it because the costs of products, services, and labor have gone sky high under this administration.
Yeah, they are continuing to try to gaslight the American people. But if you believe the polls, then you have to believe the American people are not buying it. They know that the reckless spending and the war on our domestic energy. I mean, gosh, just a few short years ago, at the end of the Trump administration, we were energy independent. We were exporting oil to other countries. Under the Biden administration, on day one, he stopped the Keystone Pipeline and began a war on our domestic oil production. We're now energy dependent, and we have to buy oil from countries that don't like us very much. Yeah. And not only that, he continues to empty out our national strategic reserves, which puts us at a security disadvantage as well. That's a national security issue, and he's using it as his slush fund for his campaign and reelection. I mean, isn't that a campaign violation?
Yeah, Robert, $35 million in just one evening, 30% from new donors. Elaine just said the American people like rooting for the underdog and the little guy. Donald Trump is a television star, former president. He's got skyscrapers with his name on it. He's got a gold toilet, but he is the underdog here, Robert.
He is. I mean, I think what you're seeing, and I loved what Elaine just said there, you have policy arguments and you have principle arguments. Trump was already winning on the policy arguments. As she said, quite aptly, on day one, Biden cut our fossil fuel production by 24%, and he just continued to damage the economy with cuts in energy. Up here in places like Maine, that's meant a doubling of oil heating in the winter, never mind what it's done to gasoline. He lies about the economy outright, which is both an integrity and an economic issue. He did not inherit a 9% inflation rate. It was 1.2%. It went to 9% in August of 2022. So on the policy side, people already knew and were already supporting Donald Trump because he is the guy that has helped them pay the bills, allowed their, as parents, allowed them to protect their kids, and frankly was protecting the border and had lower crime, as well as a bunch of other things. What's happening, and the reason that fundraising site I think broke, is that if you asked average Americans, anybody, Republican, Democrat, Independent, what they might all believe in, I think they would say they believe in the Constitution. The Constitution, the notion of the Bill of Rights, is sort of a holy grail. It's the centering piece for the country. Rightly so. It's a collection of natural rights that were codified years ago that sort of bind us together as a people. And what the Democrats have done is they have really audaciously offended fundamental rights in the Bill of Rights, including due process, the Fourth, the Fifth, the Sixth Amendments, never mind the First Amendment, the Second Amendment. And so people at the end of the day are saying, you know what? I have had it. I have had enough. This is the tipping point. I'm going to punch up my money to save the republic, because if I don't do it now, I'm not going to have a republic to save.
Well, let's not forget, though, Robert, that 11% of those American people will also say they believe Elvis is still alive. I just always like to remind people of that. Quickly, though, and I'll ask both of you, the Biden administration and their friends in the media will point to one poll that shows that if, in fact, Donald Trump is convicted of a felony, then very important critical swing voters in very important swing states will go in the other direction. That was asked when it was a hypothetical. Now that it's a reality, what do you think? Do you think that Donald Trump will, in fact, lose critical support because of this one label, convicted felon? We'll start with you, Robert.
Yeah, I think it's a fake conviction, and I think people understand truth and authenticity on one side, and falsehood and phony outcomes on the other. And a lot of what they've done prove that this is a phony outcome. So I don't think people are going to be much moved by it.
Elaine?
I don't think so. I think I think it's a small sliver in the middle, and you are hearing a lot of people who you would generally see in the middle or even not speak out at all on something like this. You're seeing them speak out on the unfairness of it, and that they just think it's wrong.
Yeah. I will tell you this, though. It's there's a reason why the Biden campaign isn't talking about that booming economy and let's get 4 more years of everything that's going so great. Happy times are here again. Not at all. This is what they've had. And now they've played their strongest card with this conviction. And if that doesn't pay off, I don't know what they've got next.